Hello everybody and welcome to this game of Hide or Die. For those who have followed me for some time may know that a while back I was asked to help promote the Kickstarter to this game. It's been a long time coming and we finally got the release date for Hide or Die along with some beta gameplay footage we were able to use. Hide or Die has gone through quite a journey and it has ended up in a bit of an odd state, being that it is releasing as a different game than we originally expected it would have. When this game was first announced on Kickstarter, it was a game designed to be very similar to Dead by Daylight, but promised to uphold a better balance and gameplay style that Dead by Daylight failed to do over the years. A lot of people upset at the balance of Dead by Daylight easily backed this project, including myself. It was meant to be similar to having a hunter versus several survivors, where the survivors would complete an objective and rush out and escape. Well, the time has passed, and Hide or Die is wrapping up its development. Releasing August 1st in Early Access, which is just a couple of days from now, Hide or Die will be providing players with a new horror experience with 2 current game modes that players will be able to explore with the new World of Darkness, and, well, have fun to up to 30 players in one game. The first game mode is actually the original type of game we thought this game was meant to be released as, called Last Man Standing, which is 16 players in a free-for-all, where players are let loose into a small area and must strive to be the last one alive. Originally, the concept of the idea during this mode is that players would rush to a randomly spawned source of darkness to become the hunter. Survivors would then try to restore light after a hunter was chosen, and banish the darkness in order to survive. There would be various creatures as well that posed a threat to survivors, such as hounds, while they tried to also stay low and away from the hunter. So not only did they have to worry about the hunter, but there were meant to be small obstacles in the way that could alert the hunter to your area. As implied in the title, it was Hide or Die. It would be accompanied by various objectives needing to be completed to restore light and remove the darkness from the hunter, and that would essentially turn the hunter back to a survivor, restarting the process all over again, down until 2 players remained. Once 2 players were left, a weapon would spawn and the final survivor could pick it up and fight the hunter. It would be a one-shot kill for either side, and it would be the last one standing wins. This has mostly remained the same in the current version, but Last Man Standing has had a few slight changes. The players will still rush for the source of darkness to become the hunter, while the others try to power fuse boxes in order to reduce the hunter's corruption. This corruption is now a meter that depletes over time and decreases faster when fuse boxes are completed. Once it reaches 0, that survivor loses their power of darkness and it spawns somewhere else, and the next person to grab it then becomes the hunter, to repeat the process all over again. They've now added a ring of darkness as well that closes in on the map and keeps the survivors nearby. Every survivor that dies causes the ring to get smaller, and if you are outside the ring at any given time, you'll take damage until you re-enter or eventually die. Once it's down to 2 players, a weapon spawns and it's up to the hunter and survivor to be the last one standing, and that's pretty much it. Rinse and repeat. Next we have the new escape mode, which was the change in directions the developers took midway through the game's creation. Escape mode is more of a sandbox adventure where you seek out sources of darkness and try to gather as much darkness as possible with up to 30 other players in the game. You can kill dark grunts for points or power the extractors to gain a larger boost of darkness. Over time, you'll have a corruption meter fill up, which allows you to morph into a hunter and hunt the other players down. By killing others, you steal their darkness and claim more for your own. Once your corruption reaches 0, you'll return to Survivor and continue the game as normal. Once time has elapsed, the exits will open and you will have a few players chosen to be the hunters that guard the exits in a final attempt to stop you from getting out. They will also walk away with bonus darkness if they end up killing you. While journeying around, you'll find a variety of melee weapons, ranged weapons, and utility items to help you defend yourself against hunters and the grunts. Hunters in this mode can be killed with enough damage, so staying with allies with guns isn't a half bad idea. Guns come in a variety of rarities as well as the melee weapons. So once you leave and claim your reward, you'll take back the darkness you collected. Your survivor will also level up with the various actions you perform in both modes. Your hunter will also level up individually from playing them and slaughtering other survivors. And with each level, you unlock the ability to purchase perks to upgrade that character or survivor with the darkness points you've been collecting. Currently, the game has 3 different hunters to play as, which are unlocked simply by leveling the survivor. You can play as the scientist, fisherman, or Stitches, each with their own tools to use to hunt down survivors. On top of that, they already released a roadmap to all the additions they're working on for the game for this upcoming year. We can expect to see 4 more hunters by the end of the year 2019. As for the survivors, you won't have an individual character to choose from, but you'll be able to customize that character and dress them however you like. And that really wraps up the game in a short overview. There are small bits, of course, I didn't cover, such as the phone, which is the biggest communication you have with others, but I wanted to look more into the game's smaller details once it releases and I play the full release, not just the beta. As a backer for the game, I'm excited to see how this game performs. There's a lot that could change from the beta to early access, and I'm hoping that there's a lot of changes coming to the early access, because based off the beta that I played, the game does need a bit of polish and work. It does feel a bit clunky on the movement, and it doesn't seem like everything comes together perfectly just yet. It was the same thing for Dead by Daylight when that came out. Things were not perfect, and then they got better over time with small patches along the way. Additionally, with only 3 hunters, that's a bare minimum and no special survivors, so seeing that we'll have 4 more in the rest of this year is fantastic. Gives us something to work for, look towards, and test out. So based on the beta, here are my thoughts. The game is in its bare minimum right now, and based on what I played, Last Man Standing mode is the legit hide or die experience. Since there's always a hunter lurking nearby, danger is always around the corner. Being able to play that hunter in that mode is also very satisfying because it's not too hard to find survivors around the area. The area is not massive, and hiding from a hunter can feel very rewarding. Plus, just popping a fuse box to drop their corruption and give yourself a chance to be the hunter is a fantastic experience. Now, you don't have to be the hunter. You could survive as the survivor, but that is far more difficult than just picking up a hunter. And then when looking at the escape mode, that's a mode that's gonna be a problem for a little bit. It's bare bones with hardly anything to do. The problem is I'm not even sure what you're supposed to be experiencing in that mode because I didn't get to experience anything other than walking around a whole lot. Majority of the map is empty and there are guns and melee weapons to find, but that's it. Maybe some credits to buy cosmetics. But there's nothing else to really explore. There's no reward to exploring. You just go to extraction point to get the darkness, rinse and repeat. Now, playing Hunter was also a massive problem because the amount of corruption you have is not enough to hunt anybody. The 4 times I turned into Hunter, I didn't find anybody. And they do have a tracking tool where you go into a ghost mode and it reveals a color to the area a survivor is in. But even going to those areas, I didn't have time to search around before my corruption meter already faded. If I had found somebody, I don't even know if I'd have time to chase them down. And from what I heard based on the feedback, there is already going to be changes to allow hunters to exist for longer in this mode, but right now based on the beta, this is just kind of the bare bones that I mean. It wasn't a very enjoyable hunter experience, and it was really empty and bland in terms of the survivor experience. But the Last Man Standing mode was fantastic. I had fun with that one. I had giggles and laughs, and it was about what I wanted Hide or Die to be, and it's a fantastic experience to have. So I'm glad that we do still have Last Man Standing, and it'll be interesting to see how this escape version evolves into something more. It's nice to have this big map that people randomly spawn on. You can talk to each other versus and then like texts and stuff, but it's something that's gonna need some work, and it's just not fun to really fight the grunts and try to collect these orbs. It's just bare minimum. So I'm glad it's out. The game works, and the Last Man Standing mode is my favorite. Those are my thoughts. I hope to see this evolve more. They add more things to do in Escape, but also polish up Last Man Standing. And not only that, I'm excited to see how the next 4 killers work in Last Man Standing, because that'll be the most interesting. I'll be streaming the game on its first day if you want to come over on Twitch and see what it's like firsthand. I'll make a final thoughts video as well one day after to sum up everything and the game's current state. I don't really want to say that everything is set in stone to what this game is, as there are a couple of days for it to fix a few issues, and it could be very easy to make a few value changes to fix a few issues we currently have, and we'll likely see what the developers have down the road really fast with the early access. So we'll have a state of the game coming soon, August 1st for the stream, and in terms of the time that I stream, it will be multiple times throughout the day. Just follow me on Discord and Twitter to get the times. I'm not exactly sure now until I know when it's going to be released on Steam for me to play. Until then, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, good game.